A new generation is coming, young people, whose thought process, whose way of looking at life has changed in many ways. Today, for the first time in the history of humanity, more human beings are able to think for themselves than ever before. Whether they're thinking right or wrong is not the debate, but they're thinking. At one time, a scripture would think for you, a guru would think for you, an elder would think for you, one man in the village would think for you. Today, everybody is beginning to think for themselves. Once this happens, people will become in such a way, unless something is logically correct, they cannot swallow it. If you make them swallow it, they cannot digest it. This will happen. Right now, you are still a generation who is still willing to acknowledge an authority and try to digest something which is not logically correct. But your children will be such, even if God comes and speaks, if it doesn't make sense to them, they will reject it.
So well said,
We are just on the verge of that. So this is a time, this is a good time, because now we are moving to a place where only truth can be the authority. Authority cannot be the truth anymore. Doesn't matter where the authority is coming from. This evolution is anyway going to happen in the next, in my estimate, I'm saying somewhere between next 20 to 40 years' time, all the heavens will collapse. When I say heavens will collapse, do you know what's in heaven? You must know. In Hindu heaven, the food is very good. If you are a foodie, that's where you must go. Nala himself cooks for you, the best chef. In another place, there are those white-gowned ladies who float around, legless ladies who float around in the clouds. If you like that kind of ambience, you go there. In another place, you will encounter virgin problems. If you like that, you can go there. But what do you have to do to get there? This happened in Alabama. You heard of Alabama? It's a special state in America. In a Sunday school teacher was going on, full fire. And in his rhetoric, he asked, "What do you have to do to go to heaven?" Little Mary, who was sitting in the front row, said, "If I scrub the church floor every Sunday, I will go to heaven." He said, "Absolutely." Another little girl stood up and said, "If I share 50% of my pocket money with a less privileged friend, I will go to heaven." Correct. Another little boy said, "If I help other people, I will go to heaven." Correct. Little Tommy in the back bench stood up and said, "You gotta die first." That's a qualification. You got to die first. When you die, depending upon what culture you are, we will either burn you, bury you or cut you and throw you to the birds. One thing is, if you have not done anything eco-friendly, I'm assuring you, at least when you die, we will do something eco-friendly about you. We'll put you back to earth. It's a very good thing to do. If you take this body and go away somewhere, this is the worst thing to do because you're taking away the topsoil. So, you will leave your body here and go to heaven. You went to heaven without a body. What are you going to do with good food and virgins? This is what I want to know. When you don't have a body. So I am saying, heavens will collapse. Once people start asking logical questions, heavens will collapse. When heavens collapse, we have managed humanity for a long time, telling them, doesn't matter you're suffering here. God is looking at everything you're suffering. One day He will reward you up there. With this we have been managing humanity, so this will not work. When this doesn't work, what will people do? One big thing that will happen is, we will move towards chemicals. To be peaceful, we already need chemicals. To be joyful, we need chemicals. To be healthful, we need chemicals. 70% of the United States population is on prescription medication. The other 30%, of course, buying it off the back streets. Just see, in the last 25 years, how many more people are consuming alcohol? How many more people are consuming drugs on this planet? It's gone up 10,000%. This is simply because in their minds, heaven is collapsing. You must understand this, that somewhere else it will be good, is going away. They want to have it good here. Unless you teach them how to simply sit here and be blissed out about your existence itself. The very life within you is an ecstatic process. If you don't teach them this, 90% will move towards drugs and alcohol in a huge way in the next 25 to 30 years. This is not a moral issue for me. I have no moral judgment on that. It is just that as a generation of people, we must understand, we hold this space on the planet just for a brief period of time. There are two fundamental responsibilities. One is, we must leave the world a little better than the way it was given to us by the previous generation. This we cannot do. No matter… if we do all the right things from today, it will take another 150 to 200 years to turn back the damage we have already caused. So no way we can leave the world better than the way it was when we came in. So in that responsibility we can't fulfill, we can start the process now, that's all. The next important responsibility we have as a generation is, the next generation that we produce must be at least one notch better than us. But if 90% of humanity is on some kind of chemicals, believe me, genetically we will produce a generation which is less than us. This is a crime against humanity. So one important aspect that every nation has to take care of, including ours, is that we must teach people how to know well-being within themselves. Unfortunately, right now, we think if you give money or food or medicine, it is service. If I teach you how to live joyfully, it is not service. We have still… see, in this country, the most important thing in the ancient India was, you know how to be within you. This was the most respected thing, because we know what will come out of this. When you have no concerns of fear, when you have no fear of suffering, that is when you will walk your life full stride. That is when great human beings are produced. If we want to produce a great nation, society, these are just words, there are only individual human beings. Only if we produce great human beings will there be a great society and a great nation and a great world.